The running back position in fantasy football is always the toughest to draft. Today, Vinny and I are going to be taking you through our top 15 running backs in fantasy football and hopefully preparing you for your upcoming drafts. So, without further ado, welcome back to VinConn Sports Talk, episode number 43. As always, my name is Connor, my partner, Vinny Martin. Vinny, how are you doing today? You excited for this episode?
Very excited. Lucky number 43, Connor. And today's a very important episode because we are talking running backs in fantasy football. If you guys missed it, we're big fantasy guys over here now at the podcast, so we're going to be helping you out. And the running back is arguably the most important position in fantasy. So we're going to be helping you guys out and listing our top 15 guys. So I'm looking
It's
forward to it.
yeah, it's tough. It's a tough position to rank because there's not a lot of depth there, right? You have to start at least two running backs. If you're in a 12-man league, there's only 30 teams in the NFL, so you only got 30 possible starters. If you're a 12-man league, two starting running backs, you're already talking about 24 to 30 guys gone. And we know how it is in fantasy. Like there's some teams down there that do not run the ball a ton or it doesn't work very well. So it's very important to get a guy early if you can. If not, you got to play your cards very smartly.
Yeah, and like we said last time, this is for a full PPR scoring format, which matters a lot more here than it did in the quarterback position because
Yep.
running backs who catch the football are going to be very valuable in our rankings, and they should be valuable to you too if you play full PPR. And a lot of people are going to be left off this list because we can only rank 15. There are, like you said, in a 12-man league, there are 24 guys who are starting running backs that for fantasy football teams. So a lot of starters are going to be left off this list, but we put together our top 15 and we're going to get it started, Connor. It's on you. So
I
whenever you
mean,
want to get this thing going.
last thing before
Last
we do
thing.
that, there were some big announcements in the NFL world today. Rashi Rice, the
There
first one,
was.
I know we posted on our social medias. His sentencing came through from a multi-car incident that happened in 2024. The judge gave him 5 years probation, and he would also have to serve 30 years of jail time within that window. This sentencing just really means that the NFL had permission to go ahead and they'll likely be issuing a suspension for him sometime soon. Adam Schefter tweeted that out on X. He said, it's probably going to be multiple games. Maybe we're looking at four, maybe eight. I don't think he'll get the same as Deshaun Watson. I think Watson will probably he would have gotten a longer one than what this will be, but somewhere within that realm. And then the other news that we just saw a couple minutes before we got on here, TJ Watt, any of you Pittsburgh Steelers fans out there, I mean, I think the best edge rusher in the league right now, in my opinion. He just got paid big time. He's the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. 3 year, I think it was like 123 million, something in that ballpark. Absolutely ridiculous deal, but hey, I think he deserves it. Props to him, and I was worried because he was in a contract year here, and I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to pay him, which obviously would have been a big loss for them, but they gave him the money. And yeah, so with that out of the way, we are now going to jump over and get this thing going. Similar format to last time here. We're gonna have our graphic, and I'm gonna be going through. I'm gonna start with mine on the left, Vinny's on the right, and we'll just be going back and forth until we get down to our last few. So here we go. We're going to start off with my number 15. Again, we did 10 for the quarterbacks. For running backs, we're going to do 15 just because, there's more guys out there that you need, as we mentioned. So coming in at 15 for me, it's the guy who played at the Houston Texans last year, Joe Mixon. All right. This guy, he turns 29 this month. And I think next week he actually turns 29. So, he's getting up there in age. He's battled some injuries. We've seen that throughout his career, but he was a stud last year for the Texans when he played. He did miss some time, but he had several 20-plus point games. I know a lot of guys didn't expect him to do that type of work, but he really put in a good effort. Got in the end zone a ton with CJ Stroud struggling to find guys, in the receiving game because of the injuries that they dealt with. And I think that the offense this year coming up is going to be a little more consistent with Nico Collins fully healthy if he can make it the whole season. So I think that only helps Joe Mixon. I think they're going to have longer drives, more opportunities in the red zone. And if he can stay healthy for a full season, I mean, I think he smashes the numbers from last year.
I love Joe Mixon. I love Joe Mixon a lot this year. We'll find out more about that in a little bit. But we'll just jump into my 15 right now. Um, Brees Hall, starting running back for the New York Jets. And Brees Hall was RB 16 last year. He was a guy that I was expecting to break
Vinny, where's your
out.
camera? Vinny, one second. One second. Where's your camera? Did you turn it off again?
My camera? My camera's right here. My camera's on.
Oh, that was weird. Sorry. No, you're good. Little technical. Still working on it. Sorry, guys. It was only out for a couple seconds, but
My camera isn't good. Mine did not touch a single button. But anyway,
no, you're good.
um, can we talk about Brees Hall now? Brees Hall um, is I think going to have a decent season, but the Jets thing, they look a lot different this year because you have Justin Fields at the helm, ex starting quarterback. So it's going to be a lot different. I think the offense is going to be a little weird. I know we talk about weird a lot here. It's going to be a little weird. And,
Very
you
weird.
know,
Very.
very weird. Having a quarterback who's more, a dual threat guy, like a rushing first guy, could hurt Brees Hall a little bit. I think Justin Fields is going to take away some of the rushing yards from Brees. Um, but he still is going to get some receptions and he's still a good play. I think a very solid RB2,
Yep.
maybe RB1 if you're talking some of those bigger leagues. But I don't mind Brees Hall. So that is
Yeah, I
my
mean,
take on
Vinny,
that situation.
you have him at 15. I'm just gonna jump right in. I have him at
Yeah,
14.
go ahead.
So, I'll continue this off here real quick. I mean, Brees Hall, you think about it, he's only a year removed from his RB2 finish in 2023, right? We know the talent is there, but like you said, a lot of changing pieces here. Justin Fields being the biggest one. You might see more read options, more quarterback designed runs, which, it hurts Brees Hall. And we saw last year with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Brees Hall, he just didn't have that same burst, it looked like. I mean, obviously, the offense struggled a ton. The team wasn't very good. But he was getting like only 12 carries for like 50 yards. Like, it's not like he was that efficient throughout the season. And I know that, in 2023 we saw the crazy production, but after a year like 2024, we can't automatically go, okay, he was still amazing in 2023. We should still be ranking him highly. We got to go off what we've seen most recently. And that wasn't anything too crazy. So 14, 15, I think that's a good spot for him. I still think he has the potential to get up there and finish as a top RB1. But until we see it, I can't go ahead and rank him that highly.
Right. So yeah, definitely in agreement there, Brees Hall. Not too high on him. Another guy that I'm not high on this year at all. I think this is my first pick where I'm saying you guys should stay away from him in drafts because he'll be drafted way too high in most leagues. Give me Alvin Kamara, a
Wow.
fantasy
Okay.
stud, especially in PPR leagues for the past 6, 7 years. And it's nothing against Alvin Kamara. He is getting up there in age a little bit. I still think he can be very productive, but I'm putting him more in that RB2 range for 2025. And there's one reason and one reason only. The Saints offense is going to be bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Tyler Shuck, Connor. Tyler
Louisville
Shuck
guy.
is the starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. I mean, listen, no disrespect to the guy. I'm sure he can have a fine NFL career, maybe even a great one. Who knows? But there is nothing that is I'm looking at the Saints team right now that's going to make me think that they're going to be in the red zone a lot. And touchdowns are the name of the game in fantasy. Everyone knows that. So Alvin Kamara, I think he'll still be that safety blanket for the quarterback. I think he'll still get a lot of catches. But there's one rule. I said this last time. There's my biggest rule in fantasy is draft players that are on the good teams and the good offenses. And Alvin Kamara, I think, is going to be on the worst, one of the worst teams in football. So I don't like him as much. Still a really good option for RB2, but don't draft him in the top 3 rounds like he might have been going in the past couple of years. That's all I
It,
gotta
it,
say.
it's tough because you mentioned it, that safety blanket. I mean, you look at running backs who, were receiving backs and had like a backup quarterback come in or like a not as good quarterback. We saw it with Devon Achane last year. He still had plenty of catches. Like he was still getting targeted. I think Kamara's going to have that same thing where, you know, Chris Olave coming back from all the trouble he had last season. Rashid Shaheed, he kind of
Mm.
broke out last year, but is it going to be the same thing? Obviously, with a quarterback that might not be able to throw it just as well. I think Alvin Kamara is going to be that safety blanket. I think he is going to see a ton of action in the receiving game, and we see it all the time. Rookie quarterbacks, they're going to hammer the run. They're going to want to build that quarterback into the playbook slowly, which means more touches for the guy who's been there, the guy who's done it for so long. So I understand why you got him down here at 14. I will have him higher than that, but we'll get to that later on. So for me, moving on to number 13, I have Kyron Williams, a guy that Vinny, I know you loved last year. You were a
Don't like
big
that
believer in him, and
for
it's
good
nothing
reason.
against him, right? He's not my favorite player, right? But he's very touchdown
No, you
reliant.
hate Kyron
No,
Williams.
I don't hate. Okay, hate's a strong word, Vinny. I don't hate anybody on this list, all right? Kyron Williams, it just something about him makes me like it just I don't know. I've never been a big believer in him. He gets 20 plus carries a game, great for fantasy. He's very touchdown reliant though is my thing. Which, to his defense, he does it very well. He gets in there basically every game. It's almost a lock. I know we discovered that last year. He only missed a couple games for touchdowns. But the pass game isn't really there. The Rams have been drafting some running backs, some younger explosive guys that could maybe eat into that work. It's just it's not a guy that I'm going to go out there and invest a huge early round pick in. But I do have him here ahead of guys like Breece Hall and Joe Mixon just because of that touchdown upside and the basically guaranteed 20 plus carries in such a good offense.
I'll draft him in the second round comfortably, very comfortably. But again, we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Okay. Obviously a little disagreements there, but it's okay. Kyron Williams, I don't know what he ever did to you, but just been a Kyron Williams. I won't say hater. I know you don't like hater, but this non-believer. But that's okay. So we'll jump into my 13 real
Yeah,
quick. And
let's
here's a
get
guy
into
that
your 13.
I know you're higher on this guy, and I'm not.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
So let's do Chase Brown. Okay,
All right.
starting running back for the Cincinnati Bengals. So I like Chase Brown. Okay. Last year, I will take this one on the chest. I was a Zach Moss
Yep.
believer last year.
Yep.
Okay.
Tell him all
I
about how
drafted
you
Zach Moss.
drafted Zach Moss. I made fun of you, drafted Chase Brown, and you were like, no, Zach Moss the starter. Then boom, Chase Brown takes off. I will
Listen,
say it took longer than I expected.
yeah, it did. But Chase Brown's a good option. Okay, I think we're starting to get into like RB1 territory, which we're about to hit the top 12, so I guess that would make sense, right?
Yep.
But Chase Brown is in a really good offense, so I like that for him. But he's also in a pass first offense, so that hurts him a little bit. But obviously, the touchdowns are going to be there, their catches are going to be there. I mean, all these guys on this list from this point forward, like I'm very comfortable
Yeah.
drafting them in the first 3 rounds of fantasy. I think Alvin Kamara was like the first like round 4, round 5 guy for me. But Chase Brown, like, give me Chase Brown in round 3. I'm totally fine with that. And again, like it comes down to this: when there's an offense that's going to be really good and they're in the red zone a lot, the running backs are going to profit the best from that.
Yep.
So I like Chase Brown a lot. I know you have him a little bit higher, but I think there's just 12 guys better. Simple as that.
No, fair enough, man. And like you said, the thing with the Bengals that we've talked about, when we talked about with Joe Burrow the other day, they're going to be passing the ball a ton. They're going to be behind a ton. They're going to be in shootouts, high scoring games, which I love when I'm looking at, a receiving back in an offense that has to do that all the time. I mean, we saw it last season. He just gets peppered with targets out of the backfield. And I mean, when Joe Burrow's throwing the ball 40 plus times a game, yeah, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, they're going to see a lot of that. But the other 15, 20 targets have to go somewhere, right? And Chase Brown was seeing a lot of that work. So that's why I am a little bit higher on him. I understand where you're coming from, but yeah, we'll see where I have him a little later on in this episode. So moving on
All right.
to that true RB1 territory that we mentioned with the top 12. I have Jonathan Taylor. And this is a guy that it seems like a risky pick. I mean, he's battled injuries a lot, right, in the recent seasons, but when he's healthy, he is one of the best in the league. You look at last season, he had 1,431 rushing yards, only played in 14 games, and that was fifth most amongst all running backs. So, played 3 games fewer, had more running backs than basically a lot of these guys that we're going to see on this list, that we likely have ranked above him. But I think the big thing with him that, we do get to see that dual threat where he does have the receiving work as well. It's just the health is a big question mark. So I think if he was a guy that was going out there giving me 17 games a year for the last 3 years, I think he's a top 5 running back, top 3 running back every single time because he has the production when he's there. It's just the health questions, the injury concerns. That's why he's down here outside the top 10 for me. And I think that's a fair place to have him.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about Jonathan Taylor because he's actually not on my list.
Oh,
He
okay.
I have him at number 16. He's my first honorable mention.
All right.
And if this was a standard league where we're not doing PPR, I would like him a little bit more. But again, like who's the quarterbacks in Indy? Anthony Richardson,
Said
Daniel
they just said
Jones,
that he's fully healed.
Daniel Jones, Connor. Daniel Jones is going to get playing time. I hope you understand that. I'll bet my money on it.
Is he with
But
the Colts right now? Yeah,
just
right?
he's with the Colts. He's with the Colts.
Yeah.
Um, offense isn't great. Injury concerns are there. Obviously, I'm not ranking based on injury concerns. You can't do that. But it's been prevalent for him in his career. It's just not appealing. It's not an appealing. Like again, like RB2, like back end RB2, like sure, or middle of the road RB2. Like I'll take it.
But he is
I think
so
he's
good, Vinny, when he's
overrated.
on the field, dude.
Overrated from a fantasy perspective. If we're talking about the best running backs in football, like he's top 6-ish, top 7, top 6. Fantasy football, I just don't like it. I don't
All right.
like the
Hey,
opportunities that he's gonna get.
hey, I like
Okay.
I like the disagreement. It's what makes this more engaging, more interesting. And I think it's it's better when we do have these Mr. Games because there's something to talk about, something to argue about. And I think that makes it
No,
fun. So it's all right.
100%. And that might be a controversial pick, but I'm fine with it. I'm fine. If I get Jonathan Taylor in the fourth or fifth rounds, kind of the same as Alvin, probably like fourth round, fifth round, I'm cool. I'm cool with that. Not spending a third round pick on him though,
All right. All right.
or a
That's fair.
second.
That's fair.
So that's just me.
All right.
Um, Move on to my number 12. You're
All
not
right.
gonna like this one too much,
Oh boy.
as the Green Bay Packers fan that you are.
Ah.
Give me Josh Jacobs.
All right.
Still a great option. Still a great option. Josh Jacobs, I'm looking at the touchdowns, okay? Touchdowns are going to make or break this guy. And the Packers are an offense I'm expecting to be in the red zone quite a lot. I mean, you can speak on it more than I can. I don't remember him being too crazy in the pass game, but he maybe I mean, he's
No.
just more of just a true running back, just
He I think he saw
workhorse guy.
somewhere around like 30 um 30 targets or 30 reception. It was one of the two. I can't quite remember. But I mean, they worked it more later in the season. At the start of the year, he didn't really do it. I mean, if you remember, there was that funny stat going around where he had like I think it was 200 or 300 receptions and he hadn't caught a touchdown pass. So they were forcing him
Right.
the ball, trying to get him in the end zone. And eventually he did end up getting it, but it wasn't before that mark. So but yeah, I mean, he's a pure rusher. They're going to give him the ball 20 plus times a game. He's going to get you 80 to 100 yards a game most likely, and he's going to get in the end zone. And you hope that he gets in twice because he did that a lot last season, where he was finding it multiple times, and that's kind of what helped him out so much. Um, but I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, I worry about him. I worry about him based on matchups. Like, there's a lot of guys on this list where they're matchup proof. I don't think Josh Jacobs is matchup proof. I think you put him against a really good run stopping defense, and you're gonna get maybe a 10-point game. You know
That's
what I
fair.
mean?
Yep.
Just
Yep. Yep.
because the
Yep.
catches aren't there.
Yeah.
So
No, I
he's
get that.
still a great option. Still a great option. Still, 12. Obviously, I think he's a top 12 running back in fantasy, but he's gonna fall on the back end. So
Yeah, so I mean, a similar thing to what we did with Brees Hall here. I have him at 11, so I'm just going to talk about him now real quick. The only other thing I have to say about him really is I do think that with Jordan Love coming back and being fully healthy and not missing time, I think he's going to do better. We saw Malik Willis come in for those couple games. It can affect the team a little bit, even if he did see a little more carries. But I think Jordan Love being fully healthy, I think there's going to be more like better drives overall. He's not going to have to deal with any nagging injuries. I think that means it's better for the offense, more long drives, more opportunities in the red zone. I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Jacobs had a little bit of touchdown regression. I mean, he scored 15 last season, which is a very high amount. Um, I I expect that probably comes down to maybe 13, 12, where he's still in double digits, but it's not as crazy because 15 is a pretty high number for a back. But the other thing I will say, he had 301 carries. So he's a workload back or like a workhorse back, so a heavy workload. The one thing that worries me with Josh Jacobs, last year, the backup running backs were hurt, right? You had AJ Dillon, he was hurt. Marshawn Lloyd, the rookie, he was hurt. Now since then, AJ Dillon has moved on. Marshawn Lloyd allegedly is going to be healthy coming up, but he said that during the season last year, ended up being hurt still. So we're not really sure how that situation is going to go. If Marshawn Lloyd is fully healthy, I mean, he's a very explosive young back where they might try to throw him into the pass game a little more. We saw it even with backs that weren't any big names or anyone that was on a fantasy roster. They were getting catches out of the backfield. So, it's a tough spot for Josh Jacobs. And we know how the Packers operate. They have a lot of young guys. It's a very big team effort, which is awesome, right? They're very good at it, very young, very talented. But when you're talking about fantasy, it makes it a little tricky to predict.
yeah, for sure. Definitely in agreement there. My number 11 before we kick off the top 10. Every time there's a duck, we gotta play this sound. Bucky Irving,
Love it.
number 11.
Love Bucky.
Um,
Love Bucky.
love Bucky, one of your favorite guys. You know what? He became one of my favorite guys just because he was one of
How
your
can he
favorite
not?
guys.
How
Isn't
can he
that
not?
nice? I mean, I'm just like, in recording these two episodes, I think I'm realizing I'm gonna be a Buccaneers guy this year. Like,
Oh,
I really am. Like,
I love
I'm
that.
like kind of feeling like I'm just feeling like really rooting for them
The
because they
creamsicles.
just have so many fun. The creamsicle jerseys, like, don't even bring up jerseys because we could talk for hours about that. But
Let's not do that.
the Bucks are just fun. No, the Bucks are just fun, man. They're just a fun team. And Bucky Irving is a fun guy to watch. I
Dude,
mean, came out of nowhere. Like, no one really thought he was gonna do what he
I
did
did. I
last year.
drafted him. I
Well,
drafted him. Just
okay,
sorry. I know.
but
I know.
that
I know.
was a
My
little.
bad. It was
That was a
aggressive. I
fan.
I was aggressive. I'm sorry.
No, that was a fan. That was fan speak. Okay, did you draft him because you liked him because he was on your favorite college team? Um,
Well, that's what you
and
do.
I understand that because everyone does that once in a
I
while.
knew Rashad White
But
wasn't the guy. I knew he wasn't the guy.
draft with your head, not with your heart. Okay, I'm gonna
It
tell
worked.
everyone that right now.
It
Draft
worked
with
out
it.
for me last year. Bucky Irving was a stud.
No, I know, but I'm saying most of the time though.
All right, got
Like
you. Listen,
most
don't
situations.
listen to Vinny, not me. All right, listen to Vinny.
Yeah. It did work out. Rashad White ain't nothing, man. Because Bucky Irving's no, I was kidding. Rashad White's cool too, but Bucky Irving is, I mean, he's the guy in Tampa. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the backups are pretty phased out, you know, during this year because they had a good little committee going, and then Bucky stole the job. I love the workload for him, and I just think, like we said last time, the Bucks offense is explosive. They have a great wide receiver room. Who it could, Bucky might get some passes taken away from him, but again, like you can be a check down machine,
Yep.
and they're gonna get a lot of touchdowns, and they're gonna score a lot of points,
Yep.
and Bucky Irving fantasy managers are going to benefit from that quite a lot. So draft him.
All right.
Really good spot. He might not be on people's radars either. So
No. Yeah. No. And so yeah, I mean, we got the top 10 here, and
top
before we
10.
get into it, it's always tough to rank these running backs because there's so many different factors that go into it. We mentioned the receiving backs versus the guys who are just going to be ground and pound, getting 20 carries a game, 30 carries a game. And it's tough because you watch a game, right? And you see a running back who looks like he does nothing. Maybe he only gets like 9 carries for like 30 yards because their team's losing, but then somehow the guy's got 30 fantasy points because he's got 9 catches for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like it's crazy how much points a running back can really get off of their receptions. You don't really think about it sometimes if you're not deep into
Mhm.
fantasy. So I think it's interesting seeing each other's lists, seeing where we have certain guys for different reasons. And I just, I thought that would be interesting to point out. But moving into the top 10 here, it's going to be a guy that you already mentioned. You had him a little lower. I have him a little higher. I think we're a little in a bit of a disagreement on this, but it's going to be Alvin Kamara, the New Orleans Saints running back here. And let me just tell you why. All right. This is a guy who he's been very consistent over his career. He has been that guy in the New Orleans backfield for a while now. And yes, he gets hurt. Yes, he misses some time. But, right, he played in 14 games this past season, had the second most receptions of any running back with 68, only behind Devon Achane, and he finishes the RB9 overall in 14 games. All right, he was a top 10 running back in 14 games. So that means, right, if he misses 3 games again this year, right, maybe he drops a spot. Maybe he finishes RB10 where I have him ranked, right, because of Tyler Shuck. Maybe we're not high on him. Maybe it doesn't work out very well. But I still think Alvin Kamara has that ability, right? Maybe he plays 15 games and now he's up another spot. Maybe he's up to RB8, right? He is a guy who, I mean, in last year, he had 1 game under 12 points last year in 14 games, which obviously, yes, you're like 12 points isn't anything special. But you look after that, it goes up to 14 and he didn't have a game under 14. He had a lot of big games. And I think you give him the ball in the backfield, you check it down to him, he's going to make 3 guys miss and go for a 60-yard touchdown. It's what he does. It's what he's done his whole career. And I think there's just a lot of upside with him where sure, it's risky, right? He might have a lower floor, but I think he's got a much higher ceiling than some of the other guys on this list.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like I said, Alvin Kamara is still a really good option, but I'm not putting any stock into that Saints offense with Mr. Shuck. Um, I,
Maybe he'll
I don't
be
even.
the rookie of the year. You never know, Vinny.
I hope so. I'm actually really rooting
What
for
are his
that.
odds? Probably like the worst of any rookie quarterbacks
I can look that up.
for guys who are
You have,
expected to start at least.
I mean, he was drafted higher than a lot of other
Well,
quarterbacks.
I think that was because the QB market was pushed up because of things that were going on. Shador
So
Sanders ended up sliding, and
he actually has the fifth best odds for rookies.
behind who?
Second for
Who's he behind?
quarterbacks.
Really? He's only behind
So
Cam Ward?
yeah, so
I guess that makes sense. There's
Genti,
not really any other starting.
I'm sure we're both going to talk about him is plus 290. Then it's Ward. Travis Hunter
Okay,
it has
that's
the
cool.
third best odds for offensive rookie in the year. That's very interesting. And then Amarian Hampton, who we talked about last time, plus 1400. Wow. So for the NFL draft from an offensive standpoint was a whole mess this year,
Yeah, it
but
was whatever.
just an absolute mess. But anyway, moving on to my number 10. Give me Joe Mixon, man. Mixon and Matchin. That's what we're
Dude,
doing here.
I love it. I love it.
I I I love Joe Mixon. I know you had him at 15. He was a stud. He had some injury problems last year, okay? He was RB17. I think without those couple weeks missed, he would have been a top 10 running back. I mean,
Yep.
he was on pace. He catches the ball a lot. And there's another thing that I'm kind of banking on in this ranking, and that's not the Houston Texans to be as bad as they were last year. And they were still They weren't bad. They were a playoff team, but the offense just looked miserable at points. And
After
Joe Mixon
after oh, sorry, go ahead, finish up.
still was good. No, Joe Mixon was still
No,
good, is what
yeah,
I'm
no,
saying.
yeah, I was gonna cut in there because you said, they they were in the playoffs and you were like, but they were still bad comparatively to the first year with CJ
Right,
Stroud. They were bad last year. And,
right.
props to them for winning a game. I didn't think they were going to win that game because of how bad they looked all season. But, they did it. But it doesn't take away from the fact that they did struggle. And I know we talked about it last episode when we were talking about CJ Stroud. They had a lot of injuries. That wide receiver room was decimated. But at the end of the day, you got to make things happen with who's there on the field for you. These are all NFL players. Um, and CJ Stroud wasn't up to par, right? So, like you said, I'm hoping it's got to be somewhat better at least, right? So, I mean,
I think it will be.
yeah,
And after he came back from injury last year, he put up these performances: 27, 26, 23, 16, 17, 35. Those
yeah.
were his 6 games after
I
that.
mean,
And another thing is he doesn't really have much competition there in the backfield. So he's the guy. He's the guy in Houston. Catches the ball, just gets touchdowns. And I don't know. I think he's a great play. I think he's kind of even teetering on that RB1 status for 2025
yeah, I mean, we look at
draft.
these lists that we have up right now, and the big thing that's glaring to me is, at least on my list, all right, not so much yours, but my list, right? We talk about Kamara, talk about Jonathan Taylor, and Joe Mixon. I think those three guys, especially, three out of the five that we've talked about so far, the biggest question is their health because
For sure.
they
Yeah,
all
for
miss
sure.
games. And when you're drafting a guy in the first 4 rounds, basically the first 4 rounds is probably the latest you're going to get some of these guys. I mean, you're hoping that they play the whole season, but it just doesn't end up being the case. So it's tough. I mean, that's why running back is so tricky. I mean, we mentioned it at the start of this episode. If you miss out on one of these top five, top six, seven guys that are basically, we're expecting them to play a full season because they've proven to us that they do it year in and year out. You end up being in this spot where you're really fighting with the waiver wire, which has turned out to be a pretty good thing over fantasy football with guys showing up out of nowhere. But you don't want to exit your draft hoping that you're going to get a guy on the waiver wire. So it's just a tough spot to be in.
100%. It is. Give me number 9.
So yeah, number 9, we're going to keep moving along here. I have Bucky Irving. My Oregon Duck comes in here at number 9 for me. I'm going to go over this quickly. We talked about it with you a couple picks ago, but he quickly turned into the lead back in Tampa Bay last year. He's still going to see the same amount of touches. I don't expect Rashad White to come back and take over the role. And we even saw Sean Tucker get touches. I don't think that's going to be a big thing this year. I think they were just kind of experimenting with. I mean, all three backs were performing well, so it's not like there was any bad reason for it. But I expect Bucky Irving to be the true guy this year. He had 1,500 scrimmage yards last year as a rookie. I expect the number to fall into a slightly higher zone. I think he will do a little bit better, especially because he'll come into the season being that guy as opposed to waiting 3, 4, 5 weeks to truly get into that role. Um, and yeah, I expect a lot of big plays. We saw it last year. Bucky Irving, he gets the ball. He's very explosive, can make people miss, and he ends up breaking off 60, 70-yard touchdowns. And I think that's one of the biggest upside pieces with him is that big playability.
Yeah. Again, totally in agreement with you there. We already talked about him. We'll move on to my number 9, another guy we've already talked about today, but we've talked about how you hate him and I love him. Kyren Williams,
All
starting
right.
running back for
All right.
the Los Angeles Rams. Let me tell you all something. Last year, after we did Cubs,
I
here comes
remember
Blake Corum.
I remember we saw Garrett Williams returning punts, and I was trying to make you so scared. I was like, dude, this guy's returning punts. He's
No,
done
but
for.
you were
He's not the starter
convinced though.
anymore. I wasn't convinced that he
Oh,
was the
you were.
RB2.
No,
I was
you were.
convinced he wasn't going to be the guy for the entire season. I thought Blake Corum was going to be a stud who was going to come in and take touches away, and he didn't end up doing that. So I was wrong on that, and I'll admit it. But I never thought that Kyron Williams was the RB2 in that offense.
Okay. Well, Aaron Williams is a stud, okay? He's an absolute stud. He's a dog.
I have him
And
on my
he's
list.
not.
Don't worry.
Oh, he's on your list. He's on your list. But I'm saying he's top 10, man.
All right, all right.
He's top 10. And let me tell you, he's not a great PPR running back. But that doesn't
Which
even
is what
matter.
we're ranking, by the
That
way.
doesn't
If
even
you
matter.
forgot, that's what we're ranking.
Oh, but don't even forget it. Yeah, this is full PPR. I said it. I said that disclaimer. But it doesn't even matter because he gets in the end zone so much. And he is the model of consistency for fantasy football running backs. That's what you want. You know that he's going to get in the end zone. You can almost be sure of it. And last year, looking at his stats, only had one game in the single digits out of 18.
And
One
he didn't
game.
score a touchdown, right?
No. You want to know who that game was against?
The Broncos.
My New England Patriots.
Okay. I was
We're the
guessing
only
defense.
force that could stop Kyron Williams from getting in the end zone in 2024. Enough said. Draft him. I'm telling you right now. He'll thank me.
I'm just saying,
Hidden
man.
gem.
When he doesn't get in the end zone, his points are much, much lower. I mean, he's not getting over 15
Yeah.
very much without a
So
touchdown.
same with anyone if they don't get in the end zone.
That's not true. For receiving backs, that's not true.
So
Anyways,
all right. I'm not gonna get it.
no, get into it. Get into it. Let's go.
So wait, you just said that. I said that everyone's points are lower if they don't get into the end zone. Of course they are.
But
I mean that running.
I mean comparatively, right? When you talk about Devon Achane not getting into the end zone in a game versus Kyron Williams not getting into the end zone in a game, Devon Achane's likely going to have higher points.
No, I understand that. No,
I'm
sorry. I
that I
apologize. No,
misspoke
I
a
get
little
what
bit.
you mean.
I understand what you when you
No, thank
explained that. I was like, oh, I realized how that you took it that way. But that's not what I was like. I was meaning it that way, you know.
you. No, yeah. Thank you for taking accountability for your mistake.
Yep. All right.
Please.
There we go. We're gonna move on
Let's
here
continue.
to, our number. What are we up to? 8. Yeah, we're up to 8 here. I have a guy by the
Yep.
name of Chase Brown. So another guy you were a little bit lower on. Big breakout season last year for him. 1,300 scrimmage yards, 11 total touchdowns, and he split the backfield to start the year. So with that said, I think these numbers only go up a little bit. Again, we just heard. Oh, that was the other piece of news I forgot to share at the start. The Bengals first rounder Shamar Stewart went back to Texas A&M. He's not even sure if he's going to be playing in the NFL this year. He might end up doing, that move where you can go back to college, play another year, and then opt into the next year's draft. So if that's the case, I mean, the Bengals
So they're
defense
cooked.
really did get worse. I mean, the barrel is really even further back now. I mean, we mentioned the barrel last
In New
episode,
Hampshire.
but it's not even in the state of
It's
Connecticut,
fine.
which is where we are right now. It's Connecticut, Massachusetts. But anyways, so Chase
Speak for
Brown,
yourself.
he's going to be the guy for the entire season. There's going to be no more Zach Moss shenanigans. He's going to have every single rep back there. Joe Burrow is going to be looking at him. I think he built a lot of trust with him last season. So I expect Chase Brown to outperform what he did last season, get a little bit better. And I think 8 is a little more reasonable than where you had him at 13.
What's wrong with Zach Moss shenanigans, bro?
Dude, it just didn't work out. It's like when you go on a date with someone, like you're going on a date for the first time, and you have a nice dinner. It's fine, right? You had some good food. You talked, but in your head you're just like,
It's just not there. There's no spark.
it's not there. The spark isn't
No,
there. But when
I feel you.
Chase Brown walks into the room, that's when your head turns. You're sitting at the table with your date. Chase Brown comes in the door, and you're like, okay,
That is a crazy analogy.
am I wrong?
Chase Brown, we're in the honeymoon stage with Chase Brown right now.
Chase
But
Brown
it doesn't last forever.
you're
Does not
right.
last forever.
You're right. You're right. We'll see. We'll see how this season goes.
You want to know a guy that I'm in the honeymoon phase with right now?
Let's hear it.
James Cook, man.
Wow.
Number 8.
Wow.
James, yep, I know. I know that's going to shock you. James Cook. Okay. Starting running back for the Buffalo Bills. He was RB8 last year. What makes you think he won't be RB8 again this year?
Look
He's
at his
RB8.
production at the end of the
Listen.
season. I mean, it just wasn't the same.
I don't care.
I care.
The end of the season is not the full season. I'm talking about the full season, the full shebang, Connor. Whole thing.
All right. I understand.
James Cook. Listen. You might be calling me biased because I'm taking guys that I had on fantasy last year, okay?
Yeah, I didn't do
That's a
that.
fair
My guy's
assessment.
Chase Brown, Bucky Irving, right here.
No, but I'm kidding.
Actually,
That's
wait.
not actually
We're
bad.
in sync here. You had James Cook, Kyron Williams. I had Chase Brown, Bucky Irving.
Yeah,
And we have him at
Listen.
8-9. Both of us. All right.
we do.
Sorry, that was cool.
On a serious note, though, I think James Cook is still yet to reach his full potential in the NFL. Last year, he was really good. Okay. I know he didn't do as good at the end of the season. He gets a lot of receptions. And he gets in the end zone a lot. Josh Allen puts his trust in him. And Josh Allen is the only reason why James Cook can't ever reach his full potential, because Josh Allen, just like we mentioned last time, just takes over. But I think there is a very consistent feeling with James Cook, where the rest of the Bills' offense, from a fantasy perspective at least, I don't like. Besides Josh Allen, I think Josh Allen and James Cook are the only Bills where I feel comfortable starting. And what's his face?
Khalil Shakir.
Khalil Shakir. Khalil Shakir. But enough said on James Cook. I just like him. I like him
All right.
this year.
I'm not going to say too much. I don't have him on my list. I don't think he would have
Yeah.
been 16 or 17 for me. But it's just you saw the production dip down at the end of the season. I think Ray Davis is a very good back. Even
Oh,
if he doesn't take over
here we
that,
go with Ray Davis.
don't even.
Here we go with Ray
I
Davis.
don't think Ray Davis takes over the lead role, but I think he continues to see snaps. I mean, we saw Ty Johnson sometimes having better weeks than James Cook at times because he was just better in the receiving game sometimes. It's just how it is. And I'm not saying James Cook is a bad back at all, but with the way the Bills were playing, with the way Josh Allen operates and the lack of receivers, they kind of run through those running backs as if they are receivers. So it hurts James Cook, so to speak. And I know he gets plenty of targets. But I think the rushing ability, it it hasn't been as good for him as of late. So that's why I look to the guys that are around him, even on your list, Kyron Williams, Joe Mixon, Bucky Irving. I mean, I like all those guys more than him. I just think it's more consistent points that you're going to get. I think they're a little safer of a play, even if James Cook might have that big week where he gets like we saw it last year. He had those 80-yard touchdowns, right? He had those crazy long plays. He had a game where he had three in like the first half, I think it was, right? I mean, he has those big games, but then he might go next week and he has 10 points. Or it's something where he drops back down, and he comes back down to earth a little bit. Whereas I think these other guys are going to be a little more consistent on a game to game basis.
That's fair.
So let's
That's
move
totally
on
fair.
to 7 here. Um, I have a guy by the name of Derrick Henry. So when you hear
Okay, I've heard
PPR,
of him.
when do you know who he plays for? Yeah, I think he's in the NFL somewhere, right?
He's on the
Yeah.
Ravens, I think.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
I knew that, guys. Yeah, but PPR, you always talk about it. It's important. Derrick Henry is probably, even though he did have some receiving work last year with the Ravens, he doesn't have a lot of it normally. He's not a receiving back. They have other guys there. Keaton Mitchell, I mentioned him. Uh, but he's going to give you 30 carries a game, and he's going to get over 100 yards a game. And that's just what he is, right? And he's an absolute beast. Derrick Henry's going to see the most of the work back there. Like he's going to see basically all of it in a very good offense. Lamar Jackson might take some goal line rushes away, but we saw it last year. Lamar didn't actually do as much red zone rushing as we thought he would because they brought in Derrick Henry. Whereas we see with the Eagles, right? They had Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts still got in there and did all the tush push, the whole thing. I'm not going to get into that again. But Lamar Jackson doesn't really do that as
No.
much. So Derrick Henry, if they're on the 1, the 2, the 3 yard line inside the 5, Derrick Henry's getting the ball. So I think that's where the upside comes with Derrick Henry, even in PPR, is he's just such a touchdown machine. He's going to get you 100 yards a game. And I think it's very safe to assume that he's going to have over 10 points basically every week.
Yeah, 100%. Spoiler alert, we'll be talking more about him a little bit later on. My number 7, Devon Achane.
Okay.
And I think Devon Achane is in a very prosperous position
Yep.
to be one of the top tier running backs in fantasy football this year.
Yep.
But he did struggle without Tua. I know you mentioned the Alvin Kamara argument, but he actually did struggle without Tua. He had 5.8, 2.9, 1.7, and 8.5 in the weeks Tua was not on the field. So let's hope Tua stays healthy for Achane's sake, because obviously the offense is just so much better. Even with Tua, the offense wasn't as good as it should have been last year. It was just kind of a mess in Miami. But Devon Achane is that sure thing. He's going to catch the ball a ton, and he's doesn't have too much competition in the backfield. He's got, I think, Jalen Wright. Is that his name?
Jalen Wright, he's going to be
Jalen
going into
Wright.
his sophomore year now. That's really it. I
And
mean,
you never know.
because Mostert's
Yeah, I
gone now.
mean, Ostert's gone. Alexander Madison's there.
Yeah, he's not doing
um,
anything.
he's electric though, so don't count him out.
He was
But
terrible with the Raiders.
no, I know, I'm kidding.
He had like one good
Um,
week, and everyone's like, "Whoa, waiver wire ad," and then he fell off the face of the earth.
yeah, don't fall for that again. Um, yeah, I mean, what is there to say? Devon Achane is a PPR machine, and if the Dolphins' offense is how it should be, which should be insanely good and a lot of points, then Achane's a good pick. So I think he's a second rounder.
I think he's set up for success this year. If Tua is healthy the entire season, Achane's a top 5 running back.
Yeah, for sure. Just to preface this, I think every guy from here on out is a second round pick or better.
And they probably all have the upside to be our
First
top
rounders.
three,
Yeah,
finishing
for
top
sure.
3. All right, so let's move on here. Um, almost to the top five, just outside. We're gonna have our sixth ranked running backs here. For me, the rookie phenom just misses out on that top five. It's going to be Ashton Genty. You know, very good pick for the Raiders here. He was number six overall. Funny he falls at number six in my rankings. And he's going to get every single touch in that backfield. He's a workhorse back. He's going to be getting some work in the receiving game as well. We can expect that, and I think the Raiders are basically going to say, "Here, you lead us to victory as much as you can." I don't know how much that's going to work. I think Genty will have a good season on his own. I just don't think the Raiders are going to be, you know, that good of a team, which is why it's tough to say go put him in the top five, even though we did it with Brock Bowers last year. It's
Yeah.
tough to say, okay, Ashton Genty on a bad football team, you're a running back who's better at running than receiving. Let's put you in the top five. It's just like, how many times are you going to be able to be up with a lead late in the game and just carry the ball over and over again? I mean, we just don't know how much that's going to happen, which is why I have him here at six, just outside of that top five.
Yeah. I mean, let's just jump right into my number six. We got Ashton Genty.
There we go.
And listen, Pete Carroll, Geno Smith. Pete Carroll loves his workhorse backs.
Yeah.
Okay. Ashton Genty got put in probably the best possible situation for fantasy from a fantasy perspective.
Yep.
He has a backfield to himself. I mean, we know how electric he is from college. And I just think he's going to run with it. I think, every year there's always that rookie that is projected to be a first round pick. And you never know what to do. You never know if, whether to take the risk and draft him because you never know. It's the NFL. It's totally different.
Yep.
Like I remember Clyde Edwards-Helaire that one year, his rookie year. He was a first round pick in a lot of leagues. And I don't think he had a bad year.
He was very good. He was very good. He fell off after that, but he was very good that year. I drafted him in the first round. It's a risk. It's always
Right.
a risk, but sometimes it pays off. Sometimes
Always
it
a
doesn't.
risk. And then like Bijan. Bijan was another guy who was a first round pick his rookie year, most drafts.
Yep.
Genty, I think, is going to be better than both those guys were in their rookie year. I mean, there's no reason besides an injury, obviously, that Ashton Genty should not be an RB1 in fantasy this year. I feel very comfortable drafting him in around that first, second round turn.
Yeah,
around there.
For sure.
And I think he'll be a first rounder in a lot of leagues.
Yep.
So I love it. I love
All
it.
right,
I love it.
so
He's electric.
moving up to our top five here. This is where it gets good. These are the guys you want on your team, especially you still want these guys in the top 15, but these are the true workhorse RB1 backs that you're going to hope that you can get one of in your drafts. Starting off with my number 5, we're going to try and move along a little bit quicker here. We're trying to keep things under an hour for you guys at about 43 minutes right now. But as we continue on here, we're going to try and figure out a way to keep these episodes at least somewhat short for you guys. I know not everyone is able to sit down for an hour and watch or listen to this, but we just want to talk. We don't want to leave anything out. We don't want to rush over anything because we think it's only fair that you guys get all the information possible on these guys so you can best prepare for your draft. So without further ado, top 5 rankings of your preseason rankings. Obviously, these season hasn't started yet, but our top 5. Starting off with mine. Oh, I forgot to hit the button. Sorry, still working on that. Christian McCaffrey. There we are. Still working through some technical things. We're still getting better at this. But CMC, 49ers running back, when he's healthy for the full season, RB1 potential is there. We've seen it before. 2023, he had over 100 more points than the RB2 in fantasy, which is just crazy. And he also played one less game in that season, which is just unheard of. Problem is, obviously, last year we saw he was still getting drafted very highly, and he got hurt. So that killed a lot of people's seasons. Thankfully, I was not one of those people who drafted him, which pure luck, really. If you got a better pick and you were in that spot, then you probably take him. But it's really just the luck of the draw with where you fall in that draft. But CMC, he's fully healthy. I think he comes back to form here as long as he finishes the full season. I think he's a top 5 running back, like I say, with that RB1 upside.
100%. I'll move on to my number 5 real quick. Give me Derrick Henry. And we've talked about how he is not the best in PPR because he barely ever catches the ball. But when he does, though, it feels good. I've had him a couple years. When he catches the ball, it's like, damn, like that is like a bonus because he is a sure thing. Other than that, he is a sure thing, like you said, 100 yards a game, gonna get into the end zone once, maybe twice. And when he went to the Ravens, everyone wondered, well, is Lamar and that style of offense going to take away from Derrick Henry? I mean, not at all. I mean, this offense is just going to run the ball all day. You could have Lamar and Derrick Henry on your fantasy team together, and you're going to profit from that. Like you're going to be in great shape. Um, and you're going to get probably 80% of the touchdowns for the Ravens offense if you
Oh yeah,
just having those two
100%.
guys. Um, so I love Derrick Henry even in full PPR leagues. Obviously, standard leagues or half PPR is even better, just because of that workhorse back stuff. So Derrick Henry is top five in my mind.
All right, moving on
Full first
to
rounder.
my number four here. Going to be a guy that you mentioned earlier, Vinny. It's going to be Devon Achane. Now, I had him last year as well. I'm a little higher on him than most. Uh, Actually, maybe not really. I mean, this is kind of the spot that he's falling into in drafts, anyways. But 87 targets, 78 receptions last year is kind of crazy. Only 9 targets that he did not catch. And some of those aren't even his fault. 592 receiving yards is the big thing for him. 6 receiving touchdowns without a healthy Tua. Big time receiving back overall. And then you had Tua at full strength coming into this season. It's just watch out, right? This is a guy who's going to get you 900 yards rushing still, which what he had last year, plus the added work in the receiving game. This guy's going for near 2,000 scrimmage yards with a full if Tua is healthy for the full season, and I can basically guarantee that. I mean, we saw it when Tua is healthy, the production that's there, and I think if we're being realistic, right, maybe we've seen as the smaller rusher, sometimes he doesn't have it against those very stout defensive teams. But when you're facing a weaker team, weaker opponents, like you sometimes do in that AFC East, not to be rude to your Patriots, but sometimes we do see the Dolphins can go up and score 50, 60 points against some of those weaker teams. And that's when Devon Achane drops you 40 points or he drops you 30 points. And you're like, okay, there we go.
Wait, what?
That's why I drafted him here. And it happens often, right? Maybe not when Tua is out, but when he is there, it's going to happen a lot because that offense is going to be better all around.
So the Dolphins can put up 50, 60 points.
They've
That's what
done
you
it.
said?
They've done it.
50, 60?
50 to 60 points, dude. Tua's had
Oh,
shootouts before.
I mean, they put up, I remember that one game they put up 70, but other than that, like
Hey, that's a
50,
game.
60 is
That's a game,
crazy.
isn't it?
All right. Well,
I didn't
yes, it
mean
is.
in
But
back-to-back games. I meant like they could put up 50 to 60 points.
right.
I'm not saying on an
They
everyday
could.
basis.
They
I'm
could.
saying it's
They
possible
could.
because they're that type
Well,
of
of
team
course,
where they're just
anything's
going to air it
possible.
out all game.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Sorry. It is possible. But anyway, my number four, um, Christian McCaffrey,
All right.
San Francisco 49ers running back. Um, a tough one here because I think there's a lot of drafts where he's going to fall the second round because of the concern with the injuries. I mean, he's injured every year. It
Yep.
just there's no way around it. But when he's healthy, he's one of the best. I mean, he does everything. PPR, especially. He catches a lot of passes, gets in the end zone a lot. I mean, we've said it about all these guys because obviously all these guys are good. But I mean, if you're putting him in the lineup with confidence that he's going to get you 20 points every week,
Yeah.
unless he gets
If he's
hurt.
healthy, yeah.
So if he's available, I don't know if I would take a top five pick for Christian McCaffrey this year, but at the back end of the first round, if he's there, why not take a flyer, take a
Because
chance
he
on him?
has that RB1 potential. If he's healthy full
I mean, he
season,
has that
he's likely to give it back to you.
he has that RB1 in the league potential, like best
Yeah.
running back in football in fantasy. So, I mean, you guys who play fantasy, you know the deal with McCaffrey. Just know where his value's set at because, like I said, a lot of leagues he might fall, and that's a good value pick in the late first round, I
And
think.
you still got to remember that Brandon Ayuk's availability is still up in the air for week 1. He might not be
Yeah,
ready to go in the first couple weeks. And there's been talk of him going on the pup list and things like that. So if Brandon Ayuk's out 4 weeks, CMC's value is even higher, right? Because they're going to be doing even more checkdowns to him, more design plays for him, more
right.
plays out of the backfield, and that only helps his case.
Yeah, and McCaffrey's one of those guys, one of those running backs who he can take over the game himself. Like the offense being worse because of the receivers not being good, like it doesn't affect him. Like he's
Yep.
still going to produce because
Yep.
I mean he's the number one guy. He
Yep.
always has been. So yeah, I like him this year.
All right, moving on to our top three. These are the podium step. The lowest podium step here. I'm giving
Podium,
it to Saquon Barkley. Okay, this is a
God's
guy
medal.
2005 rushing yards in the regular season last year in 16 games, right? Which is
Not bad.
absurd. That it's all right, decent season. And he also does have some receiving upside. We saw it. He saw 43 targets, which is not bad at all for a running back, especially one that you don't tend to think of being a crazy receiving back. One thing to note is that he did see 345 carries last season, which I don't think that's realistic to see it again. It's just the fact of the
Mhm.
matter. I think that number comes down, which means maybe his yards come down a little bit. Um, However, he was very good at finding the end zone on a very good Philadelphia offense. They're going to be scoring points. They're going to be winning games. They're going to be leading late, which is very important in a running back because that means you're getting carries down the stretch and you're just milking that clock, getting 10 yards after 10 yards after 10 yards. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons for why Saquon was so good last year is the Eagles did not trail late basically at all. Right. So they were able to just say, okay, Saquon, here you go. Wide receivers are basically taking a seat on the bench and Saquon's just running the show. So I expect that to change a little bit this year. I think the Eagles are going to struggle a little more than they did last year, but I still expect them to be very good. And that kind of just goes right there with Saquon being very good as well.
Yeah, in full agreement with you again here, Connor. Number 3, give me Saquon
Love it.
Barkley with RB1 potential,
Yep.
like all of these guys in the top 5. And the only reason why he's not 2 or 1 on my list is the same reason you said. I mean, they won the Super Bowl. What are teams going to be doing when they have the Eagles on the schedule? They're going to be game planning for this
Yep.
because they were like unstoppable last
Oh
year.
yeah.
Like, no, it was kind of ridiculous, like how well they ran the football.
Yep.
So I think teams are going to make it a priority to try to slow him down, but it's still Saquon Barkley. I mean, he's going to be insane. He's going to be amazing and really fun to watch now that he's out of that disgusting Giants blue, and in a little bit better colors. Definitely a lot more enjoyable to root for, in my opinion. But no, yeah, Saquon's going to be great. And you know what? I'm going to do it again. I think any of these top 3 are they're I'm going to say it. I'm going to say the I word, interchangeable. I think you could put any of them at 1 and be
See,
totally fine
I
with that.
disagree again. I think Saquon is a step behind these top two guys just because of the receiving work. But
Yeah, but he still does. He still gets his though, and he still gets catches though.
I know, but it's not as much. It's not
Not as
nearly as
much.
much. But all right, so moving on to our
All right.
top 2 here. I have a guy with the name of Jahmyr Gibbs, the Detroit line running back. Yes, David Montgomery is there, but I think we saw Jahmyr Gibbs kind of take over that true RB1 role. I know Montgomery got hurt last year, and that could have played a part in it, but I don't see them going back to a true split. I think Gibbs is the better back. He's better at catching the ball. He's honestly a better rusher. Maybe the short line stuff Montgomery still gets, but Jahmyr
Mhm.
Gibbs, he finished as the RB1 last season, right? And Montgomery was still there for part of the season, so he was still eating into that work for part of the season, which means Jahmyr Gibbs did this in a split backfield for a little bit there, which is even more impressive, right? I think he's basically, I don't want to say it because, I don't want to be a jinx, but I think he's guaranteed to return top 3 value. I don't see him falling down at all. I think he's a very safe pick. I think the Lions are going to be good again. They're going to have a good offense again. They're going to be scoring a lot of points. And that's what you want in a running back. I will say it was tough to determine who I wanted to put at 1. Obviously, we saw Jahmyr Gibbs do very, very well last season. And the only reason I didn't put him at 1 because I think the guy at 1 is in a tier of his own. I just think he's a step
Okay.
ahead, and I know you said interchangeable. I almost see these guys as a clear 1, 2, 3. I just can't see a way
Wow.
where I can move them around. It's just th- it's just too it's not close enough for me
See,
here.
I I'm in a different boat because I think number 2 and number 1 on my list, which you can play it. Number 2 is Jahmyr Gibbs for me.
All right, so we're the
Um,
same there.
so very clear that we're gonna have the same number 1, unless you pull out something crazy. I think.
I got
Um,
Travion Henderson.
oh, love that pick. Love that pick. No, Jahmyr Gibbs is gonna be insane, and I think the only reason why I can't put him at 1, I think he is more potential than the number 1 guy. I will say it. I think his ceiling's higher. But the only reason why is because Jahmyr Gibbs has that counterpart, David Montgomery.
Yep,
And I do agree that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be the main back. But you know how the Lions operate. If they're
yep.
at the 1 yard line,
It's
Jahmyr
going to
Gibbs is
Mont.
not there.
Yep, Monty's getting it.
And it's just going to be those touchdowns, that so many touchdowns left on the board for Jahmyr Gibbs that could have been his. Like, no disrespect to Dave Montgomery. He's still a good running back in the NFL. But
From a
if they
fantasy
committed to
perspective,
Jahmyr Gibbs,
yeah,
yeah, it's annoying. It's insane how good Jahmyr Gibbs was with the split. Like, still to this day, I I think if Jahmyr Gibbs was the number 1 guy, first and second down back on the goal line every time, then he's RB1 without question.
I
Like,
agree.
he is the guy you want on your fantasy team. Like, 1-1, draft him, top 1-2, depending on how you look at it.
I agree.
But those touchdowns are going to be left on the board, so I have to go with
Yeah.
my guy at number 1, who is probably going to be the same.
Yep, I'm gonna drop them both right now. I think we both can agree. Bijan Robinson is
Yep.
going to be that
Ramondre
guy this
Stevenson.
year. Ramondre Stevenson, no, definitely
Yeah,
not.
no, Bijan Robinson.
Bijan Robinson, he's the guy. And last season, I think he would have finished as RB1 if he didn't have the slow start. And we saw the first 6 weeks or so, he really didn't have anything special. He had good games. He was decent. He was fine, right? But it was kind of like we drafted him in the first round. Like we were expecting much, much more. And then you go from week 6 on, he only scored under 20 points twice. The offense is only going to be better, right? I think with Penix having a full offseason to himself, I think Penix is going to be better. I think the offense is going to be more together, right? We saw Kirk Cousins, he was doing good things, he was doing bad things. And then when they switched to Penix, it took him a couple weeks to figure it out. And now I think with that, the end of the season and this full offseason, I think Bijan Robinson and the offense are going to be firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's the main reason for me. I just think the Falcons, their stock is going up for me. I mean, I think the offense is going to be so much better with Penix, so much more dynamic, and that only helps Bijan. I think they're going to be in the red zone more. I mean, he, again, gets a lot of catches, just a workhorse guy, doesn't have that competition in the backfield, and he, in my mind, should be RB1
Yeah.
without question.
And
And the same thing, it was close to me, but
you mentioned the team getting better. I mean, it was actually surprising to me the games I would watch with the Falcons playing, how little times they were in the red zone. Like I feel like they rarely got
right.
into the red zone in certain games. Like it was like they would get there once or they'd get there and do nothing with it. And Bijan was having a tough time really getting down to that goal line. Obviously, he still scored touchdowns, but they were not at the red zone nearly as much as some of these other teams.
Yeah, and that's gonna change. That's gonna
Exactly.
improve.
Exactly.
It's gonna improve a lot. So Bijan is our top AC running back. We have the same top three, and we actually have pretty similar lists. I mean,
Let's
just have a
we'll
few.
go let's run through it again. We'll go back to the 15 through 6 page here. So you can see every single name on this list, I believe, is the same, except you didn't have Jonathan Taylor and I didn't have James Cook.
Yeah, so we have 14 of the same, and we didn't collaborate on this, by the way.
No.
We're seeing it for the first time now, so we made our own list here. Um, and James Cook at 8 is pretty dramatic of a difference, but that's fine. I'll stand on that, and I'll if it goes wrong, then I'll take it on the chest.
And
But
then we'll
that's
show
fine.
our top five again here. So I think the only difference I had Derrick Henry outside the top five. You had Devon Achane outside the top five. So we flip flopped there, and then the other four players are all
We
the
both
same.
had those guys at 7. We both had those guys at
Yep.
7. So I
And
had
then you had
Achane, and
Henry
then
at five. I had Achane at four.
we both had Genti at 6. And then the top 3 was identical. So on the same page for the most part here with
Yep.
running backs.
Yep.
Um, Not an easy position to deal with
No.
for sure, especially depending on what league format you play, but is arguably the most important. And running back position has been stretched a little thin over the last few years. I think wide receivers kind of overtaken the running backs in terms of depth. I think there's more startable wide
Yeah.
receivers in the NFL than
I
startable running backs.
I
So
will say, this is a promising year for rookie running backs. Omarion Hampton for the Chargers, RJ Harvey, I think for the Broncos is a guy that some people aren't thinking about as much as they should be. He's going to be a guy who's basically going in there to be the RB1, even with some of that competition from J.K. Dobbins and stuff. But obviously we won't really know the true extent of those guys' work until we start seeing the preseason, start seeing the actual week one. So it's a tough thing to draft. That's why the rookies are always so hard, especially even those first round guys that are rookies. It's like you're never actually too sure until it actually happens.
yeah, and give some respect to my guy Trey, man. Travion Henderson, I think is going to
Travion
be.
Henderson, yeah.
I actually think he's going to be the starter by like week 5,
I think he should
and
be.
then
I think he should be.
I think he should be. I'm a huge Ramondre Stevenson guy. We got to talk about the Patriots for a second. I'm a huge Ramondre Stevenson guy, but I think Henderson is so much better already.
The
I mean,
fumbling that we
like
saw
genuinely,
last year was bad. It was bad. You can't
really
be doing
bad.
that as an NFL running back, especially a guy with so much promise. Like he
Oh,
was drafted
uh,
highly, honestly. Not high, but like he was a pretty heavily invested running back because we thought he was going to be the guy. He thought he was going to have a breakout season, and we just didn't see it.
yeah, 100%. So I like Trey. Maybe a late round steal there. But anyway, Connor, I think that's going to wrap it up here.
Yeah,
Stay tuned. We got wide receivers coming up next. Our top 15 of those. That's going to be a much. I haven't actually done that list yet, but I think it's going to be
it's gonna
a
be a
lot
fun
more
one. It's
difficult.
gonna be a fun one.
Um, Definitely a lot more debate there. Follow us on our socials. We got Twitter. Well, temporarily we don't have Twitter because we decided to post something today about Rashi Rice and they banned our account.
The algorithm didn't
So
like that.
But Adam Schefter could do it. He's fine. So
Perks of being famous,
that
man.
just does yeah, right. That just doesn't seem fair. But yeah, we have X, we have TikTok, Instagram. Follow us on YouTube. If you're not watching this on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube. And yeah,
And last thing,
I think that covers it all.
we're gonna start doing because obviously when we add YouTube, the graphics on Spotify kind of, defeats the purpose of YouTube. So we're gonna be posting audio only on Spotify for those of you who are maybe listening on a long car ride, just listening in the background when you're doing something else. And then YouTube will be for the people who want to sit down, watch the graphics as well. We will be continuing to try and make improvements to the graphics, make it a little more lively. But we just thought we'd put that out there. So anyone who's still watching at the end of this video, make sure if you want to see graphics, you're going to YouTube. The Spotify not having video is not an error. That is intentional now. I know we posted it with graphics last week or last episode, but that is not going to be the case going forward. So
Yeah.
just a disclaimer there.
And big shout out to you for the graphics, by the way. That is all you. I won't take any credit for it, because I don't know how to do any of that crap. So,
Hey,
uh,
you got some graphics in there though. The ranking sheets, that's all Vinny. Things the
that's
screens,
true.
the banners that you see on like the Spotify posts, like the what's it called? The cover. That's all you. So and then
Oh
we
yeah.
kind of work together on the other social media stuff. But we're doing this together, man. It's a team effort.
We're in this together, man. We're not taking credit for anything. Come
No,
on. This
no,
is a
man.
team effort. Um,
Credit's meant to go
okay, we've
around.
talked for long enough. Exactly. That's what they say about credit.
That's what they do.
Okay, we've talked for long enough. We've talked for long enough.
All right.
Let's sign
All right.
this off. Thank you guys for listening. Stay tuned for wide receivers. Stay tuned to our socials for some extra content. We'll talk to you next time.